Hi, and thanks for joining us on Live with Squacky. I'm Val Kelly, voice actor, owner, president, CEO, and executive producer of Mid-Atlantic Voiceover LLC. We're so excited about our special guest today, Tom Dheere. Tom has been in the industry for over 20 years, and he's narrated thousands of projects for clients in dozens of countries for just about every type of voiceover you can think of. As it says on his website, the H is silent, but he's not. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start off today by hearing about how you got started in the voiceover industry.
Okay, I was an acting major in college, and I went to graduate school here in Manhattan, and then I was trying to figure out how to apply my trade as a theater actor here in New York City. So I was still living with my mom at home. This is over 20 years ago. And she's reading a copy of New Jersey Monthly magazine, and she's looking in the back, and there's got these ads and classifieds, and she looks at it and she's like, "What's voiceover?" And I'm like, "I don't know, you talk for money?" So that was exactly right. And she's like, "You got a pretty good voice as a coach, not too far away. You should give it a shot." So so this was late 1994, so I got a voiceover coach. Her name was Hope Noah. Trained with her for about 6 months, and then went to a recording studio in New Jersey, cut my commercial demo, and then she gave me a big stack of Xerox copies of production directories, and she's like, "Okay, well, now it's just time to start your cold calling, and good luck."
Whoa.
Yeah. And that was 1995 now. So there's no Facebook, there's no LinkedIn, there's no Twitter, there's no pay-to-play sites, there's no Dropbox, there's nothing. There's just a people and a dream. So yeah, that's how I started.
That's awesome. That's a really great way to just kind of get your foot in and just go with it. And that's really great. So you are the voiceover strategist, which is great because a lot of us struggle with the business side of the industry. Mm-hmm. So as a voiceover business marketing consultant, what are some words of advice you can offer to voice actors who are just starting out, as well as to those of us who have been in the industry for a while?
I get asked this question a lot. And if nothing else I've learned is that if you're starting out, whether you're starting out or whether you've been doing this for a while, if you want to be an effective voice talent, and that's really the key, how to be effective. If you want to be the voiceover artist that you want to be or dream of being inside the booth, you need to be an effective voiceover business outside of the booth. You need to learn how to think effectively. I talk about systems of thought and systems of execution. You got to figure out how to think about what you're supposed to think about as a voice talent, and then put together a plan or systems of execution to help realize, qualify and quantify and realize what you want to be, what you need to do and who you need to be an effective voiceover business. So rub the stars out of your eyes. This isn't American Idol. This isn't a chorus line. You're not going to get discovered. You're not going to get your big break. That's just not how it works. You have to get lots of training, work really, really hard, spend actual money on your voiceover business, and learn to embrace failure over a very, very long period of time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really realistic way of looking at it. It's having a very solid business plan is really important to be effective in this industry and make it.
Yep.
So what are some goal-setting tips you give to voice actors who are trying to set realistic, attainable goals?
The first thing you need to do is figure out, what does success look like for you? In 20th century America, basically the prevailing wisdom, and I think it still is to this day, is that if you're not a star, you're a loser. I think American Idol has damaged our culture significantly in this particular context, even though it's a fun, exciting show that millions of people love to watch. But what happens on American Idol and in a chorus line, this "God, I hope I get it" starving artist mentality just doesn't work. It's just not real. So you got to figure out, what does success look like for you? And success can mean different things to different people in the voiceover industry. If you have a 9-to-5 job and you want to do some voiceovers here and there to get grocery money or save up for a Disney vacation for your family, that's totally fine. That's very, very valid. If that's what success as voiceovers looks like for you, great. That means you need to have a specific plan to achieve and realize that type of success. If you have a full-time job and you want to become a part-time voice talent and go from being a 9-to-5er to part-time, let's say you want to retain your benefits or things like that and be a part-time voice talent, totally valid. If you want to quit your full-time job and become a full-time voice talent, also totally valid. If you want to do cartoons and video games, which is all of you, I know that, it's every single one of you, all of you do this because you want to get into cartoons and video games, and that's fine. Totally fine. If you want to be in Pixar movies and video games and stuff like that, that's also fine. But you have to do very specific things to achieve that type of success. So the main thing is, once you're starting out, what does success look like for you?
Right. Absolutely. I think that it is really important to figure that out, because if you don't have a game plan and you don't know where you want your career to go, you can't set realistic goals, right? So if you live in a state where maybe there's no animation or video games taking place, it doesn't mean you can't do it, but it just means that you might have to work a little bit harder to reach those goals, And I think that's something that people have to keep in mind, is that you can do whatever you want to do. You just have to figure out a way to actually make it happen realistically,
Right.
So, yeah.
I always tell my students, vague goals will get you vague results. Specific goals will get you specific results.
Exactly.
That, and you can live anywhere in the country and be a successful voice talent.
Definitely. Cool. So do you have any advice on how to best invoice clients and how to get them to pay on time?
That's a great. I actually teach an entire class about how to do exactly that. But in short, this is a part of your business. It's a big part of your business, getting paid. You need cash flow to run your business. So you need to be able to invoice effectively and get paid on time. So the first thing I recommend is have some form of invoicing program or software to help you. I use Invoicely. It's just invoicely.com. It's absolutely free. It's cloud-based. It tracks your clients. You can have all your client information in there. It lets you know when invoices are due. It can help you with your billing cycles and your form of payment and your currency and all that stuff. There are the more comprehensive accounting software programs like Freshen or FreshBooks and QuickBooks and things like that. Those are also very helpful. I also personally recommend redundancy in your invoicing system. I have a triple redundant invoicing system because I have Invoicely and I print and staple everything old school, and I have a spreadsheet that tracks everything. And I still make mistakes. Just this morning I was reconciling invoices, and invoice 1937 should have been invoice 1936 on my spreadsheet, and it didn't match up. So I had to go find it and figure it out and realize, oh, the dollar amount was wrong because I have a client that I have two end clients that have the same. I have one end client, but I also have two clients that work with that end client. So, and the billing is different, even though it's the same end client. So this is going to happen, and you're going to get paid in dollars and euros and pounds and Canadian dollars, and you're going to get paid by check and direct deposit and PayPal and wire transfer. And the billing cycles are different for everybody. So have a system in place that can back up, that can, be a redundancy. I've got a cat under me now. So she was doing drive-by. She was doing like drive-by pets. So I had to give her less Kiyoki, I know. As to keeping up with making sure that your clients pay you, I like to use what I call polite persistence. Have the system in place. Make sure that you've communicated effectively in advance with your client so that you know that, first of all, make sure the invoice got to the right person, because your point of contact for doing the voiceovers isn't necessarily your point of contact for getting paid for the voiceovers that you're doing. So make sure you have the proper contact information. Make sure you have the correct billing cycle. Make sure that everything they need on that invoice is there, because a lot of clients will ask you to put a purchase order number on your invoice, and some don't. Some don't require an invoice. Agents don't ask for an invoice. I still generate an invoice for every single client, whether I submit an invoice to them or not, to help me keep track, because, I can have 15, 20, 25, 30 outstanding invoices at any given time. And that's a lot to keep track of. So, because sometimes a month will go past and I'll be like, oh, did so-and-so pay me? And I got to go check. So
Right.
have invoices for every client, even though you don't send it to them necessarily. And when I notice that an invoice is overdue, the first thing is I always spot them at least a week to process the invoice in their system. And if it's a check, because sometimes it takes a week for the check to physically get to you. So if it's a week out from the due date, I don't sweat it. After that, then I follow up. And the first thing I ask is, did you get the invoice? Because sometimes I forget. I may have made a mistake. I may have hit the wrong key on the keyboard.
Right.
And also, if they know they're running late, and sometimes you do that, and they'll go, oh, no, okay, oh, it's over here, oh, no problem, okay, and then they'll send it to you. So actually just doing that is just making sure they got the invoice as step one to following up. Most of the time that clears up your invoicing issues.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so important for, the business part of voiceover, because a lot of people just don't know how to do that. They don't think about, oh, I need to send everyone an invoice, I need to keep track of it. And that's really important, because if you're not getting paid in time, it has a lot to do with that, having a really good system that's organized. And otherwise it can just be total chaos,
Right.
And you don't want that.
Yeah, and that's the grown-up stuff that most people don't feel like doing. They're like, I didn't get into this business to do this. Well, yeah, but this is a part of it, and that's the other thing. If you can't or won't do all the grown-up stuff, the invoicing, the billing, the writing down of business plans, if you can't or won't do those things, I suggest community theater.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So let's see. Tell us briefly about how to file your taxes as voice talent. I know this is like a really big topic, so that's why I said briefly, but do you do it quarterly, or how do you do that? Just a brief explanation, because I think some people just have no idea what they're doing, and trying to help everyone.
Right. I actually also teach a full hour class on how to file your taxes as a voice talent. I do that every spring. When it comes to paying your taxes, you need to make sure that you understand the difference between being paid like an employee and being paid like a business. If you are self-employed, most often, if you're not union and you're self-employed as a voice talent, you need to file a Schedule C and get an accountant.
Okay.
You're a grown-up, you're a business, get the money out of your pocket and pay an accountant. I guarantee you will save more money by getting an accountant who will find all of those savings and tax write-offs for you than you would be able to do on your own.
Right.
Like whatever money you're putting out for the CPA, you will get more than that back in possible refunds or in saving if you invest in delegating, which is also another thing that businesses do. I pay my taxes quarterly. So when I have my tax filing session with my CPA, finds out how much I owe or am owed, then they extrapolate how much they think my accountant thinks I'm going to make next year in taxes, divide it by 4, and then prints out coupons and gives me envelopes. So for state and federal. So April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and then January 15th. I stick it in the envelope, and pay that and send it off. What I also do is that I have a savings account dedicated just to quarterly taxes.
Okay.
So when I get paid as a voice talent, I take a percentage of what I get paid and I put it in that tax account, because you know what? That's not my money. That's the government's money.
Right.
So I set that aside, because I shouldn't spend money that doesn't belong to me. I say that. And also, if you put it in a savings account, it accrues interest. So your money is working for you before it goes to the IRS.
Right.
So that's the basics of it. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but yeah, that's the basics.
Yeah, definitely. People should look into taking your class for that if they are having trouble with the whole tax thing. That's really important. So what are some goals you have for yourself as a voice talent over the next few months?
That's another very good question. I like these questions. Not everybody knows, but I just recently moved to Manhattan. went from suburban New Jersey to Midtown Manhattan. So I've been here for a little over 2 weeks, and I'm having a fantastic time. I love it. I love New York, and I love everything about it. So this is
Hey.
really wonderful the past couple of weeks. So about 10 years ago, I told my Manhattan agents to stop sending me out on auditions. Why? Because it was turning into a massive waste of my time, taking an hour to 2 hours to get in the city, sit in a room with 50 guys that sound just like me. I could be the best actor in the room who gives the best audition, but I don't get the part. And then I can't establish a relationship with the end client because then I'm supposedly undermining my representation. So I got sick of losing half a day for some $400 beer ad that my mom won't even recognize my voice on.
Right.
So I told them to stop, and my career improved immediately because, pay to play started, and doing things online with Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all these things started coming around, and my career improved immediately. Now the pendulum has kind of swung back. There's been a lot of stuff going on about pay to plays and online casting and agents and unions and all that stuff. So things have been really weird for the past year, and online work has gotten a lot harder to get and a lot harder to market yourself. So I've been basically ignoring New York City for 10 years, even though it's almost literally in my backyard. So my goals for the next few months are to focus more on getting work right here in Midtown Manhattan. I'm blocks away from many recording studios and production facilities, advertising agencies, marketing firms. There's always a movie release or a networking event or something going on here in Midtown Manhattan. It's basically, arguably along with LA, it's like the #1 voiceover market in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm basically swinging the pendulum back from being more of a cloud-based digital online voice talent to being more of a, boots on the ground analog marketing type voice talent. And I have a lot of contacts already. I'm kind of going to rekindle those and make new contacts. So yeah, so all of my focus is, be a New York-based voice talent.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That sounds really exciting. And you're right in the city, so it's like you're just right there. Everything is at your fingertips. So I'm sure it's going to go great, and you'll be booking everything. So we'll look forward to hearing you everywhere. So that's awesome.
So.
Absolutely. So how do you feel about social media marketing? Do you have any favorite strategies that have really worked for you? There's so many different platforms. I think that people can get just completely overwhelmed with it. I know that I have had, I've sort of evolved over the years as to what I do on social media and have pulled back from other ones. And I think it's really important, but how do you feel about it?
And we did not plan this, viewers, but every question she's asked me the answer is, I teach a class about that. We did not plan this. I swear to you. But yes, I teach a class about the basics of marketing and all the different areas of marketing. My opinion of social media is it's like guns, fire, or polka music. It's not what it is. It's what you do with it that makes it an instrument of good or evil. It's a tool there, and they can be very useful tools. They can also be, unfortunately, weapons. They can also be the biggest massive waste of your time. Most people don't know how to effectively use social media, especially voice talents. They think, well, if I take cat selfies and play Candy Crush and comment on every single post made since the history of man, then I have an effective social media presence. And you don't. You're just part of the white noise, and you're not serving yourself or anybody else. To effectively use social media as a voiceover business is to understand that it is the voice and the extension of your brand. You need to establish an effective brand to be an effective voiceover business. And social media is the sound of your brand. It is the realization of your brand. I'll give you a very brief example. Let's say you're a big middle-aged dude with a big beard and you love motorcycles and you sound like you ride motorcycles. So you build a brand, and it's called voharleyrider.com, which you probably can't do for intellectual property reasons, but we're just using it for this example.
Yeah.
So if you're voharleyrider.com, everything on your website is going to reflect motorcycles and the whole culture of it, and and all the fun, positive, wonderful aspects of it. And so will the color scheme and your head. Maybe if you have a headshot, you look like a biker. You've got a picture of yourself on there. All of your demos are going to reflect that kind of sound. And then everything that you talk about on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter is going to make people think voharleyrider.com. So on Twitter, you're going to post, Twitter and Facebook, you're going to post pictures and videos of motorcycles. Maybe you own a motorcycle. This is you fixing a motorcycle. This is you talking about motorcycles. And on Twitter you'll choose a motorcycle of the month. Today, this month is going to be all about Indian motorcycles, and you talk about all the things like that. So you want to ingrain in everybody's head that you are an expert in the field, and anytime they have any kind of ad that is pertaining to motorcycles or any ancillary products or services, you are the person that they think of. That is how you use social media effectively, by developing and extending that brand into all the social media platforms.
Yeah, that is absolutely, you're correct. I mean, I think that can be a difficult thing to do, is establish your brand, but once you have it, you really have to be consistent with it.
Yes.
You don't want to put random stuff. I've said this so many times in interviews that I've done with people. Don't put random stuff on social media. Keep it focused on what you're trying to accomplish, and you'll find that you have much more of a steady following than if you put random stuff at 2 a.m. It's never a good idea.
No.
Learned it firsthand. Never do it. When I was first starting out.
Yeah. There's an adage for athletes and musicians. It's like nothing good ever happens after midnight.
Exactly.
So same thing with your same thing with you on your phone or your tablet. If it's after midnight, get off it.
Yeah, exactly. Funny. So how important do you think agents are in the industry today? And can you book work without one? I know this is a question. I mean, obviously agents are important, and I didn't mean to phrase it like they're not, but I'm saying that things have changed in the industry a lot over the years. So how important do you think they are right now?
First, I'll say is that there's a massive misconception about agents when it comes to voiceover talent entering the industry. Here's the misconception. Agents will not make you a successful voice talent. Agents will only make you more successful in a specific genre that you are already successful at. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
No agent is going to discover you and make you a star. Okay, if you have no experience, you are useless to an agent, because you have not proven to them that you can make them money. If you can't make an agent money, you are useless to them. Now, a lot of people say, but Tom, how do you get experience without an agent without experience? Well, that's a lot of nonsense. This is the 21st century. There are literally thousands of voiceover projects being cast every single day. There are pay-to-play sites. There are casting sites. There are just so many ways to get voiceover work without an agent. Okay, I'll put it to you this way. I've been doing voiceovers for over 20 years now, and I do a cost-benefit analysis of my voiceover business every year, which is another class that I teach. So last year, 2% of my voiceover work came from agents. 59% of my voiceover work came from fellow voice talents recommending me for a project.
Wow.
So what's more important to me, an agent that's supposed to make me a star, or my so-called competition?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be a contributing part of the voiceover community. Help in ways that, even though you may not have voiceover experience, you can help just as a good human. Be a good human, collect good humans. That's my marketing mantra.
Yeah.
And work will come to you. You will find work. If you know you're doing it right when agents start to talk to you, or when your fellow voice talents say, hey, you should submit to so-and-so. Your voice is perfect for them. I hear they have a roster spot. And if you do it right, it'll kind of happen organically. You'll feel it. You'll know when the time is right for you to start to pursue agents. Now, don't get me wrong. I have agents. I love my agents. I love my manager, and they've gotten me a lot of amazing work that I could not get on my own. Right. But I had to develop my acumen and experience and portfolio to get to a certain point where an agent says, yes, I can help get you to the next level.
Right. Absolutely. I do. I think they are really important at a certain point in your career, like you said. I think maybe the brand new voice actor doesn't want to start out and go, well, first I need an agent, because I think that's not really, first of all, they're not going to get one with no experience. And second of all, they really need to take the time to do proper training, and coaching is it's so important to do all of that first before you even seek out agent representation. But yes, I agree with you. They are important. They can help you get to the next level of success, but it's all in due time, basically. Yeah.
Right.
So what are you working on now that you're allowed to share with us?
Oh, okay. Most of the stuff that I'm working on, I'm not allowed to share. And it's not because it's big honkin' video games or cartoons. It's because the vast majority of my work is non-broadcast work. When I say non-broadcast, I mean industrial narration, e-learning, corporate, explainer videos. You know, the boring stuff that you didn't get into this business to do, but that pays your rent.
Absolutely.
It pays your rent, it puts food on the table, and it helps you fund the training and the demos and the marketing to be able to do the fun stuff that's a lot harder to get, like the cartoons and the video games. So projects that I'm working on right now that I'm actually allowed to talk about. I got another audiobook in the pipeline that's coming. I do a lot of nonfiction audiobook work, mostly leadership in the workplace, self-help kind of books. If you go to audible.com and type in my name, you can find all the audiobooks that I do. I just did some great science fiction short stories. I love doing short stories, and I love narrating science fiction audiobooks. It's my favorite. Audiobooks is my favorite genre because I'm a trained actor, so that I really get my fix. And then the sci-fi stuff, because you can make up accents and characters and kind of shit whatever you want.
Yeah.
What else am I working on right now that I'm allowed to talk about? Yeah, and unfortunately, most of the other stuff is English as a second language projects, which all the tests are privatized. It's as valuable as SATs are when it comes to security and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I do a huge pile of ESL work pretty much every single week. So, and that stuff comprises of more than half of my revenue is this non-broadcast, I'm not allowed to talk about it stuff. I mean, fun stuff that I've done recently. I was the voice of all the Mad Balls last year. They re-released the product line. So if you go to YouTube and type in Mad Balls, there's a bunch of there's 20-something videos, and there's sometimes 6 or 7 Mad Balls in there at the same time. I'm the voice of every single one of them.
That's awesome. I was watching that video on your one of the videos on your website the other day. I was like, that's so cool.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
So that's the fun one. And Light Seekers is a game that's been out for a little while, which is a game you play on your phone and tablet, but there's also action figures that with a Bluetooth. And if you are playing the game and you got your Bluetooth going on your action figure, the action figure talks real time about what's going on in the game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so where's Jax? I can't, he's over there, but it's like this orange dinosaur with a hammer and a shield, and so those are kind of like the fun projects that I'm allowed to talk about. And there's a really nice big fat fun one that's coming out this fall, which I definitely can't talk about, but hopefully actually when I see you in Mavo, I should be able to talk about that one.
Awesome. We'll definitely look forward to that. So speaking of that, do you have any upcoming trainings, workshops, conferences that you want to tell us about that are coming up for you?
Yes, I do. I'm a coach for Edge Studio here in New York City, as well as Abacus Entertainment here in New York City. So I teach Business and Money 201 as well as Marketing 201 for Edge Studio. My next class, I believe, is this Thursday, which is how to market yourself in a smaller sized city. What else am I teaching? I just taught one just last Thursday about time management. I'm teaching one at Abacus this month about how to build an effective rate sheet, so you know how much to charge your clients. I will be at APAC this month. I'm not teaching anything, but I will be at Johnny Heller's workshop for those of you who are going. And I think I'm going to be putting in some free coaching time in the business card raffle. But if you want to know where I'm going to be, because I've got different classes and appearances every month, go to vostrategist.com. And of course, In November, I will have the pleasure of attending the Mid-Atlantic Voiceover Conference hosted by Val.
Yay! Well, we're so excited about that. And for everybody who needs to take all of your classes, including myself, tell us one more time. So it's voiceoverstrategist.com is your website, correct?
Right. You can go to vostrategist.com.
Okay.
I will say that if you are a current existing Edge Studio student, go through Edge Studio, and if you're an existing Abacus Entertainment student, please go through Abacus Entertainment. But if you've never worked with either of them, feel free to pick one, or you can just go to vostrategist.com and contact me directly. There's a whole big list of all the topics that I cover, including time management, invoicing, cost-benefit analysis, branding, marketing, workflow, how to set goals, pretty much everything you can think of in the non-performance side of the voiceover industry. I have a class for it.
Cool. Well, I have to sign up for all of those, and I'm sure lots of you guys do too. So check out vostrategist.com for all the details on all the classes you can take with Tom, and you'll get to meet him and take his workshop and general session at Mid-Atlantic Voiceover ARC 2018 conference, otherwise known as MAVO 2018, and that's taking place on November 9 through 11 in Herndon, Virginia at the Westin Dulles Hotel. And if you're not registered yet, don't wait to do so because we have limited tickets available, so you can head to midatlanticvo.com for all of the details, and we hope to see you there, and you'll get to, like I said, meet Tom and lots of other cool voice actors and coaches there, and it's going to be an amazing event. So thanks so much for joining us today, Tom. And we look forward to seeing you in November. And thanks again.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.